All right. So we are in week 3 of our 6-week series. And today's topic, and really continuing what we talked about last week with like leading from the front. We talked about building, like how to build a names list, right? Whether you're coaching someone, helping them, or for yourself, and all the different tools and resources. How to really enroll friends and family, not just share goals, but like really tie them into who you are, where you're going, how this benefits you, right? That's enrolling people so they like they're just excited to be a part of that journey, and really sharing those future opportunities that can help you. And the tips that I gave you guys when you do that to really help you maximize your recommendations, right? And making sure that we're really utilizing that sponsorship and making sure that making them feel great at the end. And so today is really focused more on um help reps get good, right? And so what, again, the focus of today is driving the sales week. All right, so in general, driving the sales week. So we want bigger sales reports, right? For your branch office, for your district office, for whatever it is. It's like, all right, we want more sales to happen. What are things that you guys think that we can do as leaders, as the managers, okay, whatever type of manager you are, that you feel could impact? I don't know if you guys can hear my 1-year-old. He's like screaming at the door. Wow, 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 wow. What are things that you guys can do to impact the sales report for the week? So let's hear from you guys real quick, and then I'm going to walk through a couple things.
Do a lot of phone jams or like try to get people in phone jams
Okay.
with you.
So absolutely, right? Driving more demos. And we talked about that week 1 and how to drive a good phone jam. But definitely people making more phone calls is going to create more demos. More demos gives you more chance for more sales. So yes, what else can we do to help drive more sales?
I'd say
Competition.
Competition is great. Yep. Asher.
I'd say before you can tell people what they should do, you should hold yourself accountable and be the best that you can be before you're wanting anybody else to do whatever. Um,
Absolutely. Absolutely. What else? And so tell me, like, if you're working with someone specifically, right? And you're wanting to help get them on the newsletter like you are, right? So one, obviously you doing it. So it's like, well, how come you're not doing that, right? So anytime you can lead by example, it's the strongest way to lead. All right. But what are things that you could do to help them create more sales or get on the newsletter?
Skill checks and field training, showing
Yes.
them exactly what to do.
By the way, those are 2 of the 3 things I'm covering today. So yes, skills checks, field training, all right, and then helping them get on the newsletter. Those are the 3 things that I wanted to talk about today. But if you want someone to get good, we need to make sure, do they have their foundations down? Okay. And so we're going to walk through like these 3 things. So first, we're going to start with the skills check process, right? I don't care how old a rep is, and when I say old, I mean career sales, cool, not age. So are they at 2,000 in sales, 6,000 in sales, 40,000 in sales, 100 grand in sales? No matter where they're at, when I was a newer manager, this was something that my manager, like I learned from my manager, was how to get people to that next level, getting them to bonus, getting them to whatever it was. And so I would say the first thing, and we'll kind of put newsletter under, is sales promotion, right? Are you promoting what's available to them, right? So whether it's getting to that next promo and now they're getting a 50% increase in pay, or a 20%, like, guys, going from 1,000, like from 0 to 1,000, to once they're over 1,000, they literally have a 50% increase in pay. Like 10 to 15% is a 50% increase. What does that mean? If they were working at McDonald's and they started on Friday and they hired them for $10 an hour or $12 an hour, whatever, and they do a good job, that means all of a sudden on Monday, now they're going to be at $15 an hour, or all right. So they're like a 50% increase. That's a big chunk. And so whether it's getting to, now they get to 3,000, I'm like, dude, you've doubled your starting pay since you started. Like, how cool when they hit 3,000, now instead of 10%, they're at 20%, right? So that same order that they made $100 off that order at 10%, now they're making $200 off the same exact sale. So are they excited about that, right? And that's an analogy my managers use. Like, I mean, think about it. If you are, let's say they have a job, Trevor, you're coaching somebody and they like work somewhere, right? And you're like, oh, how much you make your job? Okay, $14 an hour. Great. How about if we said, hey, if you do a really good job your first week, work hard, have a great attitude, do these things, that we're going to bump you to $28 an hour next week. Would they do that? Hell no. All right. They're not going to do that. But you get to do that for yourself here. And you don't even have to ask for a raise. You just go out and get it. Right. And so I'd always promote, like, let's say, McCade, you have someone new their first weekend, they dropped their first homemaker, right? I'm always like, oh, first of many. And we're going to talk, by the way, about PDI and driving sales, like 2 weeks from now. But and we'll really go into detail with this, but just easy, simple things you guys can start doing now is I'll say, oh, nice job. You just made $120 on that order. How's it feel? First of many. Be like, dude, I remember when I had my first sale, it felt so good. I'd be like, I want to help you get to Dirty 30 as soon as possible because it is so sweet now making 30% and doing that same work. And instead of 120, now earning 360 off that same amount of work. Be like, does that excite you? Be like, it excited me when I started and Caden was making 30% and I was at 10%. And I was like, all right, let's go, being able to catch that, right? Or they drop that sale, Trevor, and you're like, oh, you made this much. And let's say they're at 15%, whatever they made. I always like to tell them what they earned off that sale. And I'm like, dude, I can't wait till you get to 30% off that sale. You would have made blank. And by the way, when you get to 50%, like Matt or Kyle, and using people that are at half, you know what Matt makes off that sale? $600. How crazy is that, right? Be like, that excites me. That motivates me. Be like, I hope it motivates you. And I'm super excited to help you get there, right? So are we promoting like where they're like, oh my God, I want to get to that next level, right? So just that promotion factor, as we talk about stuff, is a big deal, all right? Promoting the newsletter. So promotion goes next promos always, right? Earnings and next promos. And when you get here, look what you would earn. Isn't that cool? Hey, let's keep going. You're doing a great job and I'm so excited to help you get there, right? So promoting what's available, promoting things like newsletter, consistency club. Okay. Like just, can you consistently, like, can you have 10 rows, 10 weeks over 500 as a weekend warrior or 1,000 on the newsletter or whatever it might be, and promoting that consistency. Guys, that helped me sell a lot more when I was a rep. My manager would be like, Kat, you're 2 weeks on consistency. Let's go. Let's see how many strings you can get. Oh, you're 3 weeks on consistency. And so sometimes I was done with the week and I was like at 800, right? Because I had like a busy school week. I had a lot of stuff going on. And on Monday, he'd be like, Kat, I know you had a crazy week. I know you have stuff. He's like, I just wanted to let you know you're only $200 away from keeping your strings and being at, 8 weeks over 1,000. And when you get to 10 weeks, you get, the gourmet pie, or you get whatever prize it was, right? And he's like, is there any way that you could, call back some old customers or try to get a last minute demo or find the $200 to keep you on strings? And I was like, let me see what I can do. Right. And I'm like, all right, I booked a demo, last minute for tonight or whatever. Or sometimes it was a past order, but like it drove more sales, right? It drove more CPO because instead of me being done for the week, I wanted to stay on those strings. And so I worked hard to get an extra demo or find a sale so that I wouldn't lose my consistency club. Cool. So that's something that, not for everyone, but for me, I like that. I like that there wasn't one Saturday, my spring semester, that I wasn't a weekend warrior. I had every Saturday in a row, I sold over $1,000. I had a grand day, 16 Saturdays in a row. I was really proud of that, right? And so there's some people that take pride in consistency and accomplishing, like no one else had done that every Saturday, spring semester, had a grand day. And that was something that I was excited that I did, right? So whether it's consistency club, weekend warrior, hitting promotions, newsletter. Newsletter is another great thing, right? Like my goal was to be on consistency for newsletter every single week. And that's a great thing to promote to people. But just getting on the newsletter, someone's at 948 for the week on your team, McCade. Like, are you reminding them Sunday night or Monday morning? Like when you see that, be like, dude, you're only $52 away from the newsletter, right? Are you guys doing that? So like looking at your team and see how far they are from that promo or from the newsletter, right? From the recognition, like what is it? And that goes into a deeper thing we'll talk about later. And you guys will learn more about like knowing people's hot buttons, right? Some people are competitive. Some people are trying to get that President's Club letter. Some people are trying to hit a certain thing. Some people are just trying to save up for a car, right? And so it's like, are we tying it into what they want? Where it's like, hey, if we hit this consistency, that can help you be one of the top people in the office, win a scholarship, which can be awesome to put towards your down payment for your car, right? Because what's important to that person is the car. So I'm tying everything in to this gives you this, gives you this, and that's going to give you more towards your car if that's important to them, right? If they're just someone who's trying to hook up their resume, then I would say you could do this, this, and dude, that's gonna look sick on your resume when they see that you're not just a one-hit wonder, but you're a consistent performer. Give me a thumbs up if you guys understand what I'm saying here, right? So those little things of like, are we driving them to that newsletter? Are we driving so that promotion of what's the next thing and like how good it looks for them? And again, do you know what excites them? Do they want recognition? Do they want to hook up their resume? You know, do they want more money? And if they want money, for what? Do they want to make their first investment? Do they want to buy their first house? Do they want to buy their first car like I did? What is it that they're working towards? Because when you guys do this, you're able to motivate people based on what's important to them. And it's going to help you hold them accountable and be able to drive more activity, get them to the next phone jam, right, Trevor? Get them to the next thing because they're excited to make calls, to book more demos, to get closer to the blank. You fill in the blank, whatever's important to them. Okay. So that's the first tip that I want to want. The second thing is field training, right? Which Rob just mentioned, field training newsletter. Those are the last two things we're going to talk about. Field training, all right? Why do you guys think there is so much power in field? And by the way, for anyone who's new listening, maybe not on this call right now, but maybe listening to recording in the future, can someone explain what is field training?
That's showing a rep or a newer person exactly how to give a presentation or exactly how to do something within the organization. So if they just sitting down watching as you give a presentation to a customer.
Keep it real simple. When you go shadow someone, do their, right? Like field training is shadowing. So whether, you know, you're a reverse field training means you, McCade, someone more experienced, is going with someone who just started and watching their demo. That's a reverse field training. Cool. Normal field training is someone newer, watching someone more experienced do their appointment. All right. Or if you're field training for your events team, right? You're going and watching a shift and watching them work. You're shadowing them, right? So field training is shadowing someone in the field as they're doing the work that you're going to be doing. Cool. So, and reverse field training, like I said, means that the more experienced person is watching the newer person to be able to give them feedback. Cool. Both are super powerful. All right. So I love regular field training. Why? Because I'm gonna make more money. Okay. Like I'm getting paid off my sales while I'm teaching them. They're getting better at the job watching me in action and they're learning, but I'm not taking time out of my schedule and losing money, right? It's a win-win. I'm helping them get better. I'm going to get paid off of them because I get paid off the office. So I'm going to make more money off of them, but I didn't do it by taking time out to just go watch. I'm like, yo, come with me, right? Watch me make money. So I'm making money. They're learning, they're gaining more confidence, and they're going out. That's my favorite, right? But sometimes maybe you don't have demos or you have stuff going on. Like it is good to go. I want reverse field training. Probably 2 or 3 times a month, I do a reverse field training, you know, with my team members because I wanted to help them get better and we weren't sure what was going on. And so I would watch part of, and by the way, I still do reverse field trainings with people to this day. People will just put me on the phone and I'll listen in while I'm doing other stuff or cleaning my house or driving somewhere and I'll listen to their demo and I'll give them feedback afterwards. Or if they're like, I'm having trouble with my goals, I'm like, hey, record yourself. If I can't listen live, record yourself and send me a voice memo. I'll listen to it. I'll give you feedback. I'll tell you what I would change and how to do it better 100%. All right. So I love reverse field training because you guys can fix so much in people. And if you're really busy, you might not have time to watch a whole demo, but you know, can you listen to parts of it when they're doing it live, have them record it live, because live is always going to be better than the skills check. And I'm going to show you how to skills check properly in a moment to get it as live as possible, right? Like as close to as they were live as possible. But the fact is, when they're in the moment doing it, it might come out different than when you go, hey, do this for me. And they're like, you know, and then they go to do it. Or maybe when they're with you, Trevor, they're like, so what'd you want me to do? Oh, that, okay. And they'll pull out their manual and do it. But on their demo, they're not even following the freaking manual, right? And you don't know that unless you listen to them and you're like, what are you saying? Like, where'd you get that? Like, oh, I don't know. It's just, just kind of putting my spin. I'm like, yeah, don't do that until you're like at 100K. Like, you can like, put your personality go through, but like the foundations, like you want to nail that foundation and then build upon that. All right. So when it comes to field training, so again, one, I was talking to Jackie Wynn the other day about this because she's like, I said, one of the most, she's like, do I need to get to blank sales, or I've been worried or stressed about getting to this? And I said, stop. She's her schedule's super busy up in New York right now. And she'll be home for spring break to do her office searching, and then she'll be opening her office down here this summer. But I said, I don't want you so much stressing about getting to, getting to 30,000 in sales for right now, or getting to this level as much as I am. Can you take 2 or 3 people field training every week? Because it's going to help you be on top of your game. It makes sure you're not cutting corners. You always have people are going to get to learn from you while you're making money for your startup. So you're not taking extra time that you could be studying or whatever. You're out making money, and money that's going to help your business, and they're getting to learn while they listen to you. And she's like, oh, I didn't think about that. And I said, here's what I do. And I'll give this tip to all of you guys. Once I became a certified field trainer, and to be a certified field trainer, y'all, you have to be over 1,000 in sales and pass your skills checks. Okay. And if you haven't passed your skills check yet, talk to your manager so you guys can do your skills check and then start field training people. All right. Some of you have done this already. And like I said, we're going to talk about skills check here in a moment. That's a longer one. So I was saving that as the last thing. So when you guys are, taking people, so sorry, back to, so field training, when you set up your appointment. So I told Jackie, I said, once I became a certified field trainer, I would set up my appointment like normal, right? Whatever, confirm it. Okay. Can't wait to meet you. And then once it was set, I say, oh, by the way, Miss Susie, I have a friend who just started working with Cutco, and they had asked me if they could shadow one of my appointments. Would it be okay if they joined just to watch me? Would that be okay with you? And 99.999, almost everyone. I think one time I had someone like, oh, I would prefer not, and that's because it was in person. And she's like, my dog is really crazy. And when there's more people, like that was her thing. It was like something with the dog. Because 23 years ago, it was all in person. But I would always ask. And I said, mine were in person. And I was like, is it okay if my friend comes with me to watch the appointment? I can make them clean the house for you if you want. And they just laughed. They're like, no, that's fine, honey, no problem. And I said, so every appointment, I set it up like that. Did I know if someone was going to come with me or not? Not always. Most of the time I didn't, because once I had my appointments, then I'd put them in the group me or put them on the board, and people would sign up to go with me. But anytime I book my appointments, book it up, firm it up, and right before you hang up, hey, by the way, Miss Susie, I was curious. I had a friend who just started working with Cutco, and they had asked if they could come shadow me. Is it okay if they came to the appointment as well, just to watch me? And almost every single person like, yeah, no problem, right? And sometimes I would get to the house and they wouldn't be there with me because no one signed up for that time. And then the customer would be like, oh, where's your friend? I'm like, bad news, Miss Susie, you're stuck with me today. I'm like, no, they had something, they couldn't come. And they're like, no worries, come on in, and it just like broke the ice. We were already close and it was great. There were no issues, and I learned that from a buddy of mine. He used to take like 4 or 6. One time he took 12 people on a field training. I was like, what? And he told the customer, he's like, I'll give you some free Cutco. I just, I'm one of the top trainers in our group, and I just want to bring them. But he loved taking them because he's like, I just feel like I always do better. People always buy more. I always get more referrals because they know people are watching me and I'm training them. I was like, that's true, Henry. So I started doing that. So I'd encourage you guys, start doing that. I told Jackie the other day, I was like, every time you set up a demo, can at the end of the demo, just say that. Just say, I have a friend who just started working. It's okay. Whether you know if someone can come or not, you already know customers are going to expect someone else to be there. So you guys can just always be signing people up at team meetings, at PSP, on your field trainings, on your PCs, whatever it is. Say, hey, come with me. I have an appointment tomorrow at 4. Come with me, or come watch if it's going to be online. That way you guys can be doing the field trainings. Cool. Now, if when you have someone come field training with you, this is really important how you set this up. Okay. You have to make sure your trainee knows they are a fly on the wall. Got it? They don't talk. They don't say anything. If a customer asks them, oh, where do you go to school? It's like a one-word answer and shut up. I'm like you're not like talking for 5 minutes because you're ruining my demo time. You are not like, it's like oh, I go to so-and-so, and just like stay quiet. All right. And so you're there to take notes, and that's it, like a fly on the wall. All right. So make sure they know that they don't interrupt ever. If you're reverse field training and you're watching somebody, ask permission prior and say, if I see anywhere in the appointment somewhere that I can help support you, would you like me to tell you? And if so, how? Right? When I do reverse field trainings on the phone and I'm listening into someone's demo, I tell them, hey, look out for your texts because I'll help give you guidance on certain things if I see it, right? And so I had someone closing and I'm like, ask them about this, ask them, da, da, da. And I was just coaching them during their thing, and that was really helpful. But if you did that to my husband and he didn't know you were going to do that, you would be like causing so much anxiety for him in that moment because he can't focus. He's like, what's going on? I'm trying to focus here. You know, like it would be very, very bad if you did that. And so it's really important to ask, if you're going to reverse field training, one, is it okay to give advice? Like, do you want any advice or help during the appointment? If I see a place I can help support you. If not, let's just talk about it afterwards. The best place to always talk is after. Cool. The best way to talk is after. Just as you get more experience as a manager, sometimes there are places you can help, right? Especially when closing or dropping down or whatever. I would give verbiage. I'm like, no, I just don't need everything. And I'm just like, ask them like, hey, did you like Cutco? Is it something you'd want to get in the future? You know, and they're like, oh, so did you like Cutco? Like, I love when the guys are going through, but again, you need to have that communication prior. Cool. If not, as a reverse field trainer, you're doing the same thing. You shut your mouth. You stay quiet, even though you might be like dying on some things they say or do. And you just take notes, and you take notes so that afterwards you can recap. Hey, and you always want to give them stuff they did well. Cool. So, hey, really nice job with this, or nice job asking this question. You know, sometimes it was that, like, it was really bad rapport, but like they asked about the kids. And I'm like, hey, great job asking about the kids and where they go to school, you know, like find something to compliment. And then, hey, is it cool if I give you some tips or keys? Like some areas I saw that maybe like you could make a couple little tweaks and it can make a really big difference, and give them some tips. You know, maybe it's like, hey, rapport was only like 2 minutes. Like, hey, spend a little more time, ask about them, get to know them, you know, share a little bit more about why you're working, what you're doing, right? Going through that process. Maybe on closing, you know, the customer said, oh, I don't want anything right now. And they're like, oh, okay, no worries. And they just like didn't even drop down, you know, or when they close on the homemaker, the customer said to them, oh no, I just can't get anything right now. And then they just dropped down, or they went to pieces, or they went straight to recommendations, you know, like one of my guys, Ryan, used to do. And so you want to look to see what's going on, to see how you can help them. Okay. And so as far as skills checks, I'm going to walk through some basic things with you guys right now. And actually, let me pause for any questions or comments on what we've talked about. I'm going to give you guys some basics, but then I have a video. It's a little homework I want you guys to watch, of really like that goes through with the phones. And it's a little bit of a different platform, but you're looking for the exact same things. All right. But it tells you what to look for when they're phoning, what to look for. Like, and I go in depth. It's about, I think it's like 25 or 30 minutes, this video. But I go in depth of each thing, but like with phoning, with referrals, and with recos. Cool. And so here we're going to do more conversational, and I'll put some stuff, but it's something that I'd love for you guys to watch to make sure, like when you are doing skills checks, do you know what you're looking for, right? Are you looking for the right things, and being able to give feedback on those things? All right. So before I do that, in terms of takeaways so far, what was helpful, or any questions you guys have when it comes to promoting, getting more sales, whether it's promotion through accolades, right? Resume boosters, consistency club, getting on the newsletter, you know, hitting that next promotion, whatever it is there, and how to do that, or field training. You know, what is a field training, how to set it up when you guys are booking your own demos, how to make sure to prep the rep on how to be during the presentation. Shut the beep up, all right, is the answer. Like, just take notes. And if the customer asks you something, you answer it in like 3 words or less, ideally, okay? Not even a whole sentence. Like, this is very short, because the attention should be on the person doing the demo, all right? You don't want them to ruin that. And if you go reverse field training, again, you're just there to listen and recap after. unless you guys talk prior and you're like, hey, if you want any support when you're closing or anywhere, one, would you want to know during the demo or just talk after? My husband would say, let's just talk after, and he'll learn for next time, because during the demo, it's too distracting for him. Some people might say to you, McCade, yeah, during the demo, please, if you can help me. I'm like, all right, cool. What's the best way for me to communicate that with you? You know, would you want me to text you? Do you want me to like just kind of jump in? Like, what do you prefer? And so just have that permission so that they don't say afterwards, McCade, you ruined my demo. I was gonna do this or whatever, and it's like you ruined it versus helping them, right? So make sure you have permission, but the most common thing is just stay quiet, recap afterwards. What went well? What could have gone better? Any tips that you can give them? Cool. When you take someone with you afterwards, you're recapping. Hey, what did you learn? What were your takeaways? What are you going to implement right away? Cool. Any questions that you have on anything that I did, right, is what you guys should be asking after a field training. All right. So yeah, let's recap real quick just on those points. What was helpful, and or any questions or anything you want me to expand on with that before we go into the skills checks.
I like how you said, like, find out what they're working towards so that you can always try and like, oh, well, if you want that new car, you want a down payment or whatever it is they're working for, you can entice them with stuff like that to hop on the phones or do more demos.
Okay, awesome. Great takeaway. What else? Miss Hannah, Luke, Trevor, Asher, Caden, Rob, what we got? What are takeaways? You gotta at least let me know you're learning something, so I'm not thinking I'm here wasting my time every week for an hour. Trevor, you gonna say something?
I think just trying to encourage them to stay consistent, because some people, even like myself, like I get caught up on trying to hit like the big goal, but if you just worry about staying consistent or the little things, then you'll get there, you know.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
I got more of a question. I know it was like takeaways.
No,
But with
and
field
or
training,
questions. Go ahead.
okay, with field training, right? Uh, I like when you said that ask them before you actually try to jump in. Because one time with me, I didn't give a field training. I was watching the field training, and I was asking the question why they were doing field training, and she I think Jackie just looked at me, and I was like, I was not supposed to ask a question. So my question is like, when somebody did want to ask a question, can the rep ask a question while they're doing the field training, or while they giving a presentation, or should they wait, just be quiet all the whole time and then wait afterwards?
I don't understand the question. Asking who, what, asking the person doing
Uh,
the demo, or I'm not clear on the question.
okay, it's for a rep, a new rep that's watching a current high professional rep. Should we wait for the questions just completely afterwards? Or
Yes.
can we, like, if they taking like breaks in between, can we like ask questions while no?
No. Tell
Okay.
your trainees we don't talk till it's done. If someone's training, they shouldn't say a dang thing until it's over. They can just write any questions they have down. Like I always tell them, so thank you for asking that. So because I tell them to write on their notebook before we start the demo. I'm like, put like takeaways or like top tips, things that you like that you know you want to implement, and then have a column for questions, because you're gonna have questions as we go through, and that way you don't forget at the end. Because once the demo is over, I might be like, hey Rob, so what'd you think? What were your takeaways? You're like, oh, I had so many, but you might not say anything specific. And if you don't take specific things, it's very unlikely they're going to implement things if they don't know what to implement, right? They're just wowed in the moment and then they forget what you did. So you want to make sure that they're actually writing down their takeaways so that they can regurgitate them and they can implement stuff, right? Because we're going to ask them, hey, what are your biggest takeaways? What questions did you have? Guys, 9 out of 10 times, if they didn't write them down at the end, you say, hey, how many questions? What questions do you have? They go, oh, I don't know, I forgot, right? Like literally will like almost always happen. So you have to tell them, write down any takeaways, tips, things that you liked, write down any questions you have as we go through so you don't forget them, because I want to make sure that I can answer any of those for you at the end. Because at the end, I'm going to ask them, what were your takeaways? Any questions you had? Hey, so what are you going to implement? Those are the 3 questions you can ask a trainee afterwards. What did you like? Any questions you have? What are you going to implement? Cool. And that way you actually know that it's bringing value, you know, and they're able to learn and grow and adapt from there. Does that help? All right. What else?
I know it was like a small thing you said, but like kind of always finding something to compliment before you're giving that constructive criticism. So, because I feel like that's really good so they know that like they're still doing a good job. Like they're not doing a bad job at all. It's just
Mm-hmm.
making sure they know that there's just always little things you can improve on.
Yeah, and you're there to be their cheerleader, right? And help them get better. So I don't want them to just be like, oh my gosh, Hannah's just always telling me everything I'm doing wrong. Like, be a good finder, right? And it's like good in what they're doing and like also finding those opportunities for growth, right? Those areas of opportunity in their business where you can give them tips to help them level those areas up. So awesome. Any other takeaways or points you guys want to share here? All
I think
right.
everything was pretty useful. So
Awesome. Thanks, Kaden. All right. So cool. So last thing here. So in terms of skills check, here, like when you guys are meeting with somebody to do a skills check. So there's different places. Like for me, like let's say I'm having a PC. The PCs, typically the skills checks I'll have in PCs, the first ones, it's closing and referrals. Actually, the first one's referrals. Ask me for recs. I want to hear that like on day 1 or day 2, or like as soon as we meet the first time, like, hey, ask me for recs. I want to see how they're doing with that. Okay. Because that's the gas of the car, right? We talked about that. Referrals are our business. So I want to see where they're at with that. And so whether it's with referrals, you're doing this with closing, you're doing this, and the video is going to show you guys what to look for. I'm just going to go through right now more in general the process, okay? So if I'm meeting with someone and I'm going to help them, I want to see where their recs are. I want to see where their closing is, always in the beginning. Cool. After that, they might need help. Like maybe they're not dropping down. So I want to see their drop down, you know, or I want to see when they get blank objection, how they handle it or whatever it might be. These things here, how you always want to do it is you're going to have them do it, but here's how you prep it. So I'm going to say, okay, Luke, I want you to pretend like I'm your customer. Okay. And I know this is hard because you're not like in the groove in a demo, but I want you to be as close to being in a demo as possible. What do I mean by this? If you normally jump on one foot, tapping your head when you do this part, please do that. If you normally write stuff down, please do that. If you normally stand up when you do this part, stand up. If you normally lay down, lay down. Like I literally, like as silly as this can all sound, like any physical, but like whatever as close to your in a live demo that you do it is what I want to see. Because what I don't want to hear at the end is for you to go, oh, well, Kathy, normally when I'm with a customer, I do this. Cool. That's what I'm trying to avoid here. So I want you to do it as close as you can. And I know it's, again, I know this is not a live demo. I get it. But as close as you can to us being like in a live demo right now, I want you to ask me for referrals. So you just finished showing me the products. I bought a galley. You showed me accessories. I added a couple things. We finished. We're like, all right, cool. That completes my order. Where do we go now? Cool, go. And now they're gonna go. And I want to see what they do. I want to see what they say. I want to see how they transition to referrals. And I just want to let them do it. But that pre-setup is so huge, right? If I'm in it, same thing. I'm gonna meet with someone, we're gonna go over, help them with closing. They're not, I want to check the closing. I'm like, hey, I want to check your closing just to see where you're at. Because there's different levels, right? There's following it, there's mastering it, there's really understanding the psychology behind it. And then there's pro level, like where you can, which comes with experience, right? But let's just see, where you're at. And what I want you to do, again, same thing. I want you to pretend like I'm a customer. Cool. Whatever you do. If you like to wrap your clothes, wrap your clothes. If you like, and I'm saying like wrap it, beatbox or whatever, beatbox to me, all right? If you normally stand up, stand up. If you normally turn in a circle and say, you want to get it, then turn in a circle and say it. Like whatever you do as close to a demo as possible, I would love to see. That way I can give you the best constructive feedback possible. Cool? The closer it is, the better we are. If not at the end, oh, well, normally when I'm with a customer, I do this. No, I don't want to hear that. So I want you to be as close as we can. Deal? All right, cool. Let's do it. So I tell them where we are. So we just went through, you showed me all the homemaker pieces. You showed me some of the accessories. And now we're going to transition to you telling me about prices. Where do you start there? And then they'll tell you, they'll either start doing it or they're like, well, I mean, I normally use my manual. Is that okay? That's my favorite answer, by the way. It's my favorite answer. I'm like, yes, absolutely. I'm like, we want you using your manual until you're at least at 30, if not 50K or more. And I'll tell you, my 150K reps still read their manual just because sometimes you're off or you're thinking about this and I got to do that and it just keeps you on track, and making sure you don't miss anything that's important. So yes, absolutely. And okay, cool. Let me just go. So go to wherever we would pick up here. And they go there. All right. And now we're going to dive in and they do it. All right. So just that pre-framing, so that they do it as close as possible and then letting them know, hey, we just did this and this and this. What do you do next? Because I want to see that transition. Okay. And then I want to see what they say. And you guys all, and in general, here's the general overview. And again, the video is going to go through the specifics and I want you guys to take notes. I want to discuss it next week. Okay. But in general, what am I looking for if I'm listening to someone make phone calls, if I'm listening to someone do recs, if I'm listening to any part of the job? What am I looking for? Anyone want to give me any feedback on what you think you're looking for when you're doing a skills check? Anyone want to take any guesses or no? What are you looking for?
Make sure they drop down properly.
And by the way, I'm saying in general, right? Yes or no if we're talking drop down. I'm saying I don't care if we're doing closing, phones, recs, whatever we're doing. What am I looking for? Like general overview in terms of what am I looking for?
Their like attitude and their expressions.
Their attitude and their expressions, huge. All right. Are they like expecting us? Are they positive? Are they like scared and go, so like, what is their energy like? I'm looking for, and their attitude. I'm looking, how are their nonverbals when they're delivering it? Are they like, so did you want to, or are they like, oh, did you want to check, like do an appointment, or give me 20 recs, or did you want to buy this? Or are they asking with expectancy for what it is they want, right? Whether it's a demo time or whatever it is, like, are they actually, like, how's their delivery, right? So if they're just like monotone, like that's not going to give you the best results. I don't care who you are. You can be quiet and more shy, or you can be outgoing. You have to make sure there's inflection in the tone. Pauses or going faster can help with delivery, especially if someone's not outgoing, right? If they're more quiet or shy, it's like, their nonverbals. Y'all, the more quiet or introvert someone is, the more important their nonverbals are. Everyone got that? And you need to make sure they know that. So the more quiet and introverted someone is, the more important their nonverbals are. I learned how to crush this job from my buddy Peter Sheets, who is the most introverted, quiet, socially awkward computer information systems major. Okay. And he would be like, and I was like, how does this guy do so well? He had won a scholarship. He had sold 50 grand when I started, like all this stuff. I went field training with him as a newer rep and I watched him and he would be like, oh, Miss Susan, you gotta check these scissors out. Like my mom loves these, like check these out. He's like, oh, look at this spatula, and he's like, but he was like, oh, like, and that like, I see it. Like he learned to use his nonverbals for excitement because he's not going to be like, oh, check this out. Like, what? That's like so out of, Peter's personality characteristics of him. Like, and so, but he was really good. He learned how to use his nonverbals to support him in communication. And y'all, nonverbal communication is the biggest part of communication. Okay. So nonverbals can do so much. So watch their nonverbals, look at their excitement level. Is there inflection in their tone? Pauses and speed can help with delivery on things. If they're doing their closing, they want to be slower when they're asking for the order. They want to be really clear with numbers because a confused mind doesn't buy, right? When they're making phone calls, they want to build urgency for when they have their times. What does that sound like? This is really last minute, but I still had to book 2 more. Does that build urgency, or like, hey, Miss Susie, I know this is really last minute. I actually haven't hit my goal for tomorrow. And I was wondering, is there any chance that you could squeeze me in on such short notice? Same sentence, but delivered differently, right? So definitely delivery, energy, attitude, nonverbals, Those are things we're looking for when we're skills checking someone. What else? What's a very basic thing that we want to look to see if they're doing?
Following the script.
Yes. Thank you, Kaden. Are they following the freaking manual? All right. Or are they coming up with their own random thing? So absolutely. All right. One of my guys was having a hard time. By the way, this is he was and John, I can say this out loud. John Austin, he knows. He's one of our top branches. He was top in the country. He was top 3 in Southwest region. Absolutely crushed it years ago. I think he ran his branch in 2017. But anyway, when he started, when he started, I was like, this kid's gonna crush it, da 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 da. And he was not having many sales, or he was selling a lot of pieces. And I'm like, huh. He's like, I don't know what's going on, Kat. Like, like I'm not, I thought I was gonna sell more. And I was like, hey, chill, take a deep breath. I go, let me just, hey, let's do it. Let me just check your skills out. Let me see what you're doing. Let me give you some feedback. Don't stress. You're new. I said, close me. And same thing. I did the setup, like, I'm your customer. Da, da. I go, so don't say, oh, normally I do. I go, no, I'm your customer. I'm like, so let's roll. You just showed me this. We just cut table knife. We showed me the table knives, went through the other accessories, and now you're going to transition to closing to it, right? And so he starts going through, and he gets to where you say, like, Wustop retails for over $3,000, and he starts adding shit, and he goes, isn't that crazy? And he was like, nuts, huh? And he keeps going, and then he's like, but you can maybe find it on sale if it's like Black Friday, and you like fight the other guy, and Joey, maybe you could get it on sale for 2,000. And I'm like, oh my God. And he keeps going, and it's like, I go, dude, you sound like one so salesy, okay? Is one thing. Like, be chill. You're informing. Oh, here's what you find in stores, here's where we are, compare, like you're informing. You're not selling, all right? Product sells Cutco. Your excitement and enthusiasm as you show the product sells Cutco. You don't have to be like all salesy. I go, but most importantly, I go, you just told the customer they're crazy to spend $3,000 on knives. He's like, huh? I'm like, you just said that. I said, I said, yes, you were talking about Wustop, but it doesn't matter. All they heard was 3,000 is crazy. How are you ever going to sell a complete set? How are you ever going to sell whatever? You literally just told them $3,000 on knives is crazy. He's like, oh shit, I didn't even think about that. I was like, stop adding stuff, right? Or even they're not even asking for the order, right? Ryan Stoffer. I was like, this kid's going to crush it. Baseball player, super good looking, from one of our top schools over in Sarasota. 0 for 6 his first weekend. I'm like, what? And I thought he hit at least 2, if not 3 promotions off his first 6 demos, And I get a call to my office that week. And some of you guys might have heard this before in another training, but when I talk about asking for the order, I get a call to the office. Hi, I wanted to place an order. And by the way, those of you who run offices, you'll have this happen sometimes, right? They call corporate and they reroute them to the local office. That way you could actually go do a live demo with them or service their knives or whatever they need. And so I said, okay, awesome. Yes. How long have you had your Cutco? And she said, oh no, I don't have Cutco. I was like, oh, okay, great. I said, by the way, when's the last time you saw it? I'm thinking like, maybe she saw it 10 years ago and now she's like ready, or maybe she saw it on TV on Made in America show or Modern Marvels or something. I don't know. And she said, oh no, I just had a presentation. And I'm like, what? I'm like, why the hell she did not buy from them? That's what I'm thinking. And I said, oh, how recently? And she's like, oh, just last week. And I said, oh, okay. I'm like, oh, awesome. Great. I said, do you remember? And she goes, yeah, I had a nice young man, baseball player at Sarasota. And she's like going through, she's like, I can't remember his name. I was like, Ryan. She's like, yeah, that's it. She's like, he did such a great job. She's like, the only thing is he didn't let me know where I could actually buy some. She's like, so I looked up online and I called Cutco and they gave me your number. I said, no problem. And I wrote up the order. And I remember, at the team meeting that I was like, Ryan, so, Miss Marsha or something, bought a galley set. He's like, oh, that's my customer. I was like, no, it's my customer. I said, she bought from me. He's like, what? We had found out when I did a skills check is he would go through, he would do the presentation. He would say, hey, the price is da-da-da. And then he would stay quiet. And like, he did this to me when I was his customer, and he smiled and I smiled back. And then he said, do you want me to show you some of the smaller stuff? And I said, yeah, sure, absolutely. He showed me the smaller stuff. He looked at me, he smiled. I smiled back. And he said, do you want me to show you the accessories? I was like, absolutely. He showed me the accessories. He smiled. I smiled back. He's like, did you like anything? I said, oh yeah, I loved everything. This is amazing. And he smiles again. He's just sitting there. And then he said, okay. And then he starts asking me for recs. Well, hey, here's the most important part. I said, whoa. I said, you never asked me for the order. He's like, what do you mean? I said, you didn't ask me, like, oh, would you like to try it out? Or I don't care what version. You could say, hey, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask, would you like to try cut claws today? Or hey, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask you, do you want to try, a set out? You get the complete, or do you like the basic set better? Or hey, I wouldn't, did you want to try it in classic or in pearl? I'm like, you didn't ask me if I wanted to buy. He's like, I asked you if you liked anything. I said, I liked everything. I said, you never asked me if I wanted to buy. So you got to ask for the order. When you do the appointment, they're doing the appointment just to help you out. Okay. At the end of the presentation, you need to actually ask. You need to say, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't ask, do you want to, ask for an order expecting a yes. I started asking, would you want to pay in full, or would you rather just put a deposit so you can try it out, see how you like it? You have 3 weeks to use it and go from there, right? It doesn't matter. There's a lot of different ways to ask for the order, but you have to ask for the order. And he wasn't doing that. And if I had not done a skills check with him on his 4th day on the job, I would not have maybe found that out for a while. And he would have lost so many more sales. Okay. And so these are things like, are they following the manual? The flow, are they using the words? Are they adding too much to it? Are they taking things away from it? Like that's what we want to keep a lookout when we're looking at a skills check. Cool. All right. And then there's very specific things like when they're on the phone that you look for, when they're asking for recs that you're looking for, when they're closing that you're looking for. And that's the 25-minute video that I have. I'm going to share with you guys here. All right. So